let's listen to what the tom sounds like. Now for the toms, the settings are going to be similar, so I'm not going to spend too much time. Well, not the settings, but the concept is going to be similar to the toms. You know, trying to maybe find the fundamentals, depending on how the toms are tuned and how the mic is capturing it. Trying to find the fundamentals if it's not cutting through. Try to boost the fundamentals a little bit just to kind of get the tone of the tom, and then obviously taking out frequencies that we don't like, the mud and high mids that might just kind of like be affecting the tone, and when needed, maybe adding a little bit top end to help the toms cut through. Let's mute everything else for now, and then we can focus on the toms. Let's try. Let's start with the first tom. Let's see if we can find somewhere where first tom is doing something or where the toms are doing something. So this would be let me mute the reverb for a second. This would be the 10-inch tom right now. So you can hear that going on. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna use, I believe, the second tom, which is the 10-inch tom, because at this point, that tom is playing something. So let's use that so we can kind of hear, what is happening in this case. So you hear all that noise. So we hear the tone, but you can hear when the tom is not playing, it's picking up a lot of other things around. So what are we doing? We're doing a high pass at around 147, a low pass at around 9.26 kilohertz. And essentially what we're just trying to do is get rid of some of the junk that we don't need, the low end that we don't need from the kick and other things around. You still hear other things, right? Now, toms are something, toms are one of those things that I actually do gate. Now, with the D-Live, what I love about D-Live is that I can get it without actually having to use gates. I use the PSC, which feels for me, I feel like it feels smoother. I use that, an expander, take out what you don't need, and then when it's actually happening, let it go through. So let me show you what's happening on that. I'm gonna activate the expander in this case. So you can kind of see it brings down the junk by quite a bit. You can still hear the junk, which is normal. Now remember, I am doing both front of house monitors and stream for this. So I have to be careful how I gauge the toms, because from a drummer's perspective, he's trying to hear the natural tone when he plays. He's not trying to really hear a lot of gating going on. So we have to be, I have to be careful how I gate. I want it to feel natural. I want it to sound natural, not just for me, but also for the drummer. Okay. So if I take out the expander, listen to what it sounds like. You just hear more of the junk in the background that we don't need. Let me bring it in. So it cleans it up, but it's, it doesn't sound so processed, and I love natural sounding drums, just a natural sounding mix. So the goal is to process it, but not having sounding so processed and compressed. Compressed, over EQ'd, whatever the case is. Now let's bring in the EQ. Let's see what's happening on the EQ. So you can hear the tone is now a little bit more focused. We heard the tone, we heard the fundamental, but now you can hear it more focused. Without, so you hear the tone of the drum. Now when we bring in the EQ, we just clean up some more, taking out some of the stuff we don't like. The low mids, a little bit of the high mids. So in this case, around 370, I'm taking about 6 dB. Around 1.3 kilohertz, I'm taking about 5.3 dB. And then it felt like the fundamental tone for this particular tom was around 185, thereabout. So I'm boosting about 3.2 dB. And I did this when everything was playing, because I really wanted to hear the tom singing. And then, of course, once again, I'm compressing using the 16T 4:1 ratio. Let's bring that in. And you can kind of hear the focus. Let's take it out. Tom still sounds good, but with the 16T, it's almost like you hear a focus, like you hear the toms kind of stick out and poke out to you. Let's bring that back in and listen again. You're hearing that, okay? So I'm just gonna go quickly over, kind of show you the settings of the rack tom, and then the other two rack toms, and then we'll go to the floor tom. The filters for the rack tom, the expander, which is the gate in this case, EQ, compressor is activated already, and then same thing for the 12-inch. Let's bring in the filters. Let's bring in the expander. Let's bring in the EQ. Let's bring in the compressor. So you can see about 82.5 high pass, about 8.25 kilohertz, because I don't really know the attack at the top. Of course, expanding again. EQing about 108 is probably where the fundamental tone sits. I'm boosting about 3.2 dB, and then taking out about 7 dB around 347. Around 1.3 kilohertz, I'm taking out about 5.3 dB, and then around 5.883 kilohertz, I'm boosting about 4.2 dB. And then I'm compressing, same compressor, 160, and then floor tom. Let's take a look. Taking out the filter around 50 hertz, 7.6. Gating is also in this case. Adding EQ. So I'm boosting about 65.5, about 4.6 dB to get more of the heft and the low end on the floor tom. Taking out about 8.4 dB around 283. And about 7.4 dB around 152 kilohertz. And then just adding some top end around 5.4 kilohertz of about 3.5 dB. That's the toms. And then compressor, same 16T. Let's add the whole kit. Now, what you're listening to is going through the mix bus. Let's bring the effects in. Let's bypass the mix bus compression, the mix bus processing, rather. Let's bypass the mix bus processing. So it doesn't sound like a bad mix, to be honest. It really doesn't sound like a bad mix. But let's add the mix bus processor back in. So it just has this finished, polished sound once I bring the mix bus. Now let's bring in the bass, keys, organ, the loop, background vocals, and lead vocal. So this is ideally how I would go ahead and process my drums in a live setting. It is very important that for your live drum processing, you have to understand that it starts from the source, meaning it starts from the drummer. You have to have a drummer that is disciplined, you have to have a drummer that understands tones and knows how to get the right tones. And then you have to have some good drum mics, and most importantly, not just have good drum mics, place the drum mics in position that is going to capture the ideal tone. If you were to just place the drum mics anywhere, regardless of how expensive the mic is, you can have the most expensive mic on a drum kit, but if you don't have a good drummer, if you don't have a good tone and your mic is not placed well, you're not going to get the good sounds. You can achieve these sounds even with cheaper mics. It's all about the tone that the drummer is sending you, how you capture the tone, how you place the mic, how you gain stage. All those things are important.